My father and my mother both were I consider to have been people of character. These days, they are no longer with us. That being said, the one thing that I can say about my parents is that neither one of them ever sought to be accepted. And that's what we're going to talk on today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Friday, the 21st of January, 2022. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub. If you happen to catch me on minds.com or locals.com, you can find me in both of those places as well, and I'll, as I say, sooner or later get to the point where I actually more publicize where that actually is. But the subject for today is being accepted, and again, my parents were never people who worried about it being accepted. And I'm here to tell you that for a large part, they raised children who were pretty much the same way. They didn't care about being accepted. They set themselves to whatever goals they were about, and they did those things. Let me go ahead and go through my notes so that we can have some idea sort of why I decided it was a thing to discuss today, the idea of being accepted on the Daily Summation. It's way easier to change who you are to something that matches what folks around you think is cool or mature or whatever particular thing it happens to be than it is to be a person who takes time and effort to maintain integrity and keep yourself aligned via a strong moral compass. It's hard to be different, to be a person who refuses to compromise to be accepted. In the end, though, most people who take their marching orders from others lose themselves, at least for a time. They forget that the reason they didn't fit in was that they lived a principled existence. They abandon that person and become someone who others like. I get the appeal. Can I tell you a secret? I never went there. Never. As a result, I've taken a harder road, but I respect who I am so much more as a result. It's been tough in many ways, but I'll tell you this. I wouldn't trade the journey I've been on for any other I can imagine. Don't get me wrong, there are parts of who I am that had to be changed, had to go away to keep me from getting into trouble when dealing with society one way or another. That's always going to be true. That said, I flatly refuse to abandon my beliefs without good reason. Yes, it does mean people look at you differently. It also likely means, since I don't hear it, I truly don't know, that people talk about you behind your back. I'm willing to have that be the case if it means I get to sleep better knowing I'm doing the right thing. I guess one of the things that's helped me is, as you get older, you begin to realize much of the time others truly aren't paying too much attention anyway. Even if they were, though, I'm sorry to tell you that unless folks can offer good reason to change who I am, it's just not happening. It's a hard road, that's for certain. But as I say, my slumber is sound where my conscience is concerned. And by the way, most every other way too, but certainly where my conscience is concerned. You can worry about being accepted by those around and about you. For my part, I won't do strange or problematic things for no reason. But if we disagree, and I have cause for what I do, you'd just better get used to having to deal with it. The option, make it illegal, kill me off, something like that. If you make it illegal, will that stop me from doing the things I count reasonable? Not so much. Okay, done with my notes. You know that there are things that you believe in, things that you are. And maybe those things make you pretty much the ideal of a person who lives in society. I get that. For my part, there are a lot of things that I believe that make it so that even though that I don't fit in society as well as a result, those things are the right things for me to do and be. They just are. And I'm sorry if people think that I should change who I am in order to make me more palatable to society. If I find that there's something that's true about me that I believe that I consider to be correct, you need to be entirely aware that I'm going to perform whatever actions I see appropriate, do whatever things I think are correct, and I'm going to do them whether or not people look at me badly and whether or not I'm accepted or whether or not I fit in as a result of what I'm doing. I know a lot of people who came off looking like oddballs when they were young, but they were going down a path where they were looking to be a substantial person. Look, I know a lot of us do stuff that was just dumb stuff that we did when we were kids. I'm not trying to tell you that that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. I did that somewhat. But as I got older, it became more and more about maintaining integrity and following that moral compass that was within me. That's what drives to this day my existence. But the point is, that's what drove me at the time too, right? And so where I know that a lot of people look at me and go, "What an oddball! What a strange character! What's up with that guy?" It's not that it doesn't affect me at all, but it's that for the most part, I may examine myself, I may find that there are things that are problematic, things that are wrong with me or whatever. But if I examine myself and I say, nope, you're pretty much on the right track at this point, then you need to know that's where I'm going to stay. You may like it, you may dislike it, you may agree, you may disagree. It really doesn't matter. What's important to me is to do things as I ought to do them. Okay? And I hope that that's the same for you. I hope that you don't live a life where you say to yourself, I'll just do these things that other people expect of me, even though the things that they expect of me are really problematic and do not allow me to live the life that I think that I ought to be living. I'm sorry that that may be true for you, that people expect things of you that would veer you off course and that you think you're going to accept that. For my part, that's not happening. It's not happening. And I'll tell you right now, I don't suggest it for you either. Do I suggest that you seek better paths? More substantial, more reasonable, more proper, more virtuous, and so forth paths? Absolutely. Do I suggest that you dump who you are because other people have a problem with who you are? Not at all. Look, you think you're transgender. That's your right. You think you're gay. That's your right. I'm not saying I agree with you. I'm not saying I think that those are good paths. But unless people can give you a reason to change that, I'm not expecting you to do it. It's not that I'm saying to you, well, I think you're right. I don't think you're right. I think you're wrong in your choices if you choose those paths. That said, your path should not change because people decide, I'm going to, throw rocks at you or snub you or whatever it happens to be as a result of who you are. If they're throwing rocks at you, you need to get away from them. And if they're snubbing you, you need to assume that they're people that you probably don't want to have anything to do with anyway. Now, I'm going to say it again. In my opinion, those are not virtuous paths. Homosexuality, transgenderism, pedophilia, whatever it happens to be, those are not good paths. But you shouldn't change them because other people expect you to. You should do so because you've come to realize what's right, what's wrong, what's good, and what's bad, and you act accordingly. This is why you should do that. Okay? That is why you should do that. I get that it's hard. I get that it is. Life is full of hardship. But you sleep better if you don't change yourself into things that are wrong just because other people want that from you. This has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Friday the 21st of January 2022. That is the beginning of the Sabbath at sundown today. For those who observe it, tomorrow will be Saturday the 22nd of January of 2022. The end of the Sabbath will be sundown at the end of Saturday. Thank you for coming along, whether on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on Minds, minds.com, or on Locals, if you happen to see me there, I hope you're having a good day today. Keep in mind that Rumble is my preferred platform at the moment. You can give me a Rumble, a boxing glove, or a Rumble on Rumble if you want to do that. You can give me a plus or a minus on Rumble to show me that you liked or didn't like my content. You can give me a like or dislike on any other platform that offers that opportunity. You can always comment on anything that I say, and if I happen to have put it out there, and particularly if I'm notified that you commented on it, I will do my best to look at your comment, to try and figure out exactly what it is that you're trying to say and respond if I think it's an appropriate thing to do. Subject for today has been being accepted. Tomorrow we're going to talk about unneeded leaders. This is an interesting little subject I think you'll find. Hope things are going well for you. Hope you're doing well. Hope this new year is moving nicely for you. So far it's not so great for me, but I think it'll probably get better over the course of time. Hopefully we will see you again on Saturday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This podcast was recorded on Friday, January 21st of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.